Hello everyone, this is Crystal Putoff. Today I am going to demonstrate another division of 3 on this pattern. You can see there are 3 sets of what I call climbing rows, and they are orange, pink, and red roses. So this is a division of 3, and it's also a diagonal division because these roses kind of climb up in a diagonal fashion across the egg. This I do with a swirl. The division I'm going to show you, you could also do and make your line straight if you wanted to with this one. But this division is perfect for those people that always say, I can't draw a straight line, I can't get it divided evenly. With this one, all the divisions are really just reference points. So division of 3, and again, you don't have to use roses. You can do vines. You could put little butterflies or bees all around it if you wanted to. You could do different flowers. But today what I'm going to show you is the basic division to get your egg set up to put whatever creative pattern you would like to put on your egg. So again, this is a practice egg. It has a crack in the bottom. And so I'm going to draw my lines very darkly on here. I would not recommend you draw them as darkly as I am. I'm only doing that so you can see them on the video. On our template, we're only going to use the marks that say 90, 60, or 60. We will not use the ones that say 90 or the ones that say 45. So I'm going to make 6 marks on my egg. And the 90, 60, 60, 60, 90, 60, and the 60. And I actually already made these marks on here because I started a video and I had an issue. So I already had the marks drawn. So I have 6 marks drawn. I have my top marked, where the top of the egg is. And now I am going to draw, they'll end up being 3 lines that go all the way around the egg. So I'm going to start at a mark. I'm going to draw up to the top. And I would recommend, for this pattern in particular, these lines you draw very, very lightly, because you're not going to put any wax at all on these lines. And so you don't want to be confused by them. I'm only drawing them this dark so you can see them. So I would really recommend that you don't make them this dark. You don't need them that dark, and because you're not going to be putting wax on them, they won't, you might end up with pencil lines still on your egg if you draw your lines this dark. I use, when I draw my lines, I actually use a blue lead. I bought it from, it's a Pentel Blue 0.5 that I use when I draw them on my real eggs. Okay, so there's 3 lines going around the egg. You know, well, it looks like 6, so it's 6 here, 6 there. Now the next thing we're going to do is mark off some points on each one of these lines, and this is a little different from what we've done in the past. We are not going to draw lines that go horizontally around the egg. We're only going to make little marks on these lines as points of reference. And so since they're just points of reference, we really don't have to measure them exactly. So what I'm going to do is, I have my tape measure here. It's at the top, and I'm going to make a little mark at the 4 centimeter, at the 2, and at the 6. So I just have 3 little marks like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing on all the other lines. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. These are only points of reference. So, like I said, for those of you that do not like to draw straight lines, this egg is perfect. If I were going to do this pattern and do it with straight lines, then I would be far more careful dividing it into the 6, and I would probably draw the lines all the way around it. That one's a little more involved because there is a lot more exact measurement in it. And I'll talk about that as I do this one, but that is a video that would have to be done in a lot of different stages. So I have my little marks going around the egg. Now what I want to do is I only use, you have 6 lines here, but I'm only going to use 3 of them. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to use this line right here. I'll put a little X there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a kind of a loopy line that goes like that, up to that point. Now I'm going to draw kind of a loopy line, goes up to that point. And then I'm going to draw another wavy line that goes up to that point, right to there. That is my first line. Now I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to skip this one. You could do six lines. You could do this on all of these lines. And now that I look at this, I probably didn't need to draw these points on all the lines. But if you were doing the diagonal, the straight line diagonal, you would need all those points. But for this one, we don't. But I drew them all just so you could see them. So if I were doing the straight line, I would draw a line that would be straight from this point to that point, to that point, and then probably to a point up there. That's only if you're doing the perfectly straight ones. That's not what we're doing. So I'm skipping this line, and on here, I'm going to draw this that goes out to here, this that goes over here, and this that comes up to here. And we got one more right there. This one, skipping this one, starting here, over, and you can make your lines wave any way you want. They don't have to all go the same, but you want to keep them by these points of reference here. Okay? So there's 3 curvy lines coming out. And one of the things you could do at this point is you could use a suction cup. This one's a little too big. But if you had a smaller suction cup, you could use that to mark off where you want your flowers. Like I said, that one's a little too big. So usually what I do next is I will sketch in where I want the flowers to be. So maybe I want one to be here. And when I draw the roses, I draw them, they kind of look like that. And then they have here, here, layers, 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 layers. That's how I draw a rose. Very simplistic. And then maybe I want a rose to come out here. Maybe I want this one to be more bud-like. And it could cross over the vine. If you wanted to do something like that, then what you would do is when you're putting your wax on, you would wax the flower first and then wax the line, and then when you get to the flower, you would skip that point there. You draw another one, put another one, we'll put another one here. So I have 3 flowers. You could put more. You could do We could do a little flower bud here. I did a few of those. And then I would put in some leaves, but honestly what I would usually do is I would put the flowers on, I would draw the vine, and then I would go back and put the leaves in where I wanted. You can also put in maybe you want to put a swirl. Now on mine, I did the lines, everything initially in white, and then I went back and I dabbed in some green for the leaves, and then I did, I think I did pink, orange, and then red. I may have washed this back in between. The final color on this is a royal blue, which I would have washed back the egg before I got to the royal blue part, because I'm pretty sure I did red. I did this like a year or so ago, so I don't exactly remember the color combination. So I did that. So I've done one line. Now I'll come back and I'll do the other one. And where it looks like you have all this space, now is where you start filling it in with more flowers. And other things. And I try to make it look random. Sometimes it looks a little more random than others. And one more here. Maybe I'll do one that goes. I do try to put them right on the very end of my wavy line. So there's that one, and then I do the third one. Maybe put a swirly here, a bud over here. Oops, running out of that. But I hope you can get the idea of how I set that up. If you wanted to, you could, if you have drawn your lines quite darkly, you could dye your egg black then. The pencil lines would show through. They show through kind of shiny. You could put all the wax on that, and then you would need to wash it off. You want to make sure, if your egg is empty, you want to make sure it is very securely plugged. Well, you want to plug it before you put it in the black dye. But you want to make sure it's very securely plugged, and you'll wash off all the black and then do your normal color sequences. The only thing I would say is don't use a dark final color, because with your black lines it'll all kind of fade together and you won't see them. You can use a lighter color like a light blue or even a white. You could etch it all the way back to white once you're completely done. So there's another rose. Here's a rose. And those of you who do not like to draw straight lines, you can see why this design would be really great. Now, if I wanted to here, I could put in a little bee if I wanted to. Could add a little bee in between the flowers, or we could add a little butterfly here. If you wanted to add those, you could. Be creative with it. This is one of these great patterns that you just kind of set it up with the initial divisions, and then you make the flowers what you want them to be. You add in what you want. Maybe you just want little bitty flowers in there and lots of green leaves and vine things. That looks lovely too. So I hope this helps. Again, division of 3, diagonal, kind of weaving its way around the egg. So here's the end of that line, and there's the start of it. So it kind of crosses over, as you can see. Fun egg. Have fun with it. Have a wonderful day, and be safe out there.